Okay, I can confirm that we're now live, and I'll admit the public. We're just right. I think we're ready to go.
Hi. Yeah, I tried to do the 141 so that my number's not displayed, and it's not doing that. It's not allowing me to do that.
Sorry, whoever just spoke, could you introduce who you are? My name's Helen Snell.
Oh.
I'm the Democratic Services Officer for the meeting today. Can you
Hi.
just...
Yeah, I'm Desmond Peterson. Yeah, so as I say, I'm trying to get the 141 so that my number's not displayed, but it's not allowing me to do that.
Okay, your number, we can see your telephone number, it is displayed. Do you want to dial in again and try it again?
Well, I've tried it twice and it won't do it. It won't allow me to you know, I'm trying to not have it displayed publicly.
Okay, we do have an IT person on the line. Is there any help, Will, that you could give Mr. Peterson? Mr. Peterson has requested that his telephone number is not displayed on any live stream.
It's Angela. I've got a feeling he needs to dial 141 before his telephone number.
Yes, Mr. Peterson has advised that he's done that twice and that's not working. I'm just conscious of the fact that this is being live streamed with Mr. Peterson's number on it. So perhaps we could stop the live stream for a minute.
Okay, I'll just check with IS if that's possible.
Angela, there's also the parish council waiting in the lobby.
I'll let them in as soon as the live stream goes up.
Are they happy to share?
I'm just checking with Will. We're now live again, and I'll admit the parish councillor. Okay, we're ready to go.
Hello, my name's Helen Snell, Democratic Services. Welcome to the Street Trading Subcommittee. Before consideration of today's business, I will outline the protocols for the meeting. Today's meeting is being live streamed to the public via Microsoft Teams and is also being recorded. When members, Cornwall councillors, are speaking, they may choose to use their video. If the council's live stream fails during the meeting and we cannot share the proceedings, the meeting will be adjourned so that access can be restored. If the issue cannot be resolved, the chairman will halt the meeting and the remaining business will be concluded at a future date. If a member experiences a technical issue, the chairman will adjourn for a short period to try to re-establish their connection. As members are called to speak, the chairman will remind you to switch on your microphone. If for some reason you cannot be heard, I will advise you. The vote will be taken using the raise your hand function and the result announced by myself.
Helen, it's
Today
Angela.
we have public
Can I
representatives.
just interrupt and say that the applicant and the parish council representative, if you're listening to this live stream on your personal computer, can you please mute it? Thank you. Sorry, Helen, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Helen Snell, Democratic Services. We have public representation at the meeting today and they are joining by telephone. Their telephone numbers are displayed on the right hand side of your screen in the people function. Where a member has declared a non-registrable interest, a disclosable pecuniary interest or an interest by virtue of any trade union membership in a matter, they must leave the virtual meeting. Their departure will be confirmed and they will be invited to rejoin the meeting at the appropriate time. To confirm the procedure for today's meeting is that members of the committee who wish to speak on an item should indicate by using the raise your hand function. Before we start today's business, ask the committee members to confirm they are present and state their electoral division. Councillor Foote.
Yes, Jesse Foote here, Cornwall councillor for the St Germans and Landulph division.
Thank you. Councillor Fitter.
Yes, Councillor Fitter is here and I'm the Cornwall councillor for Colin and St Morgan and Newquay North. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hay.
Yes, I'm here and I'm Cornwall councillor for the St Austell Gover division.
Thank you. I can also confirm the following officers are present. We have Sarah Kent, Senior Licensing Officer, Mark Andrews, Senior Lawyer, Angela Saunders, who's our meeting producer today, Will Makin, who is our lead applications operation engineer and organising the live stream, and myself, Helen Snell from Democratic Services. So moving on to the agenda, item number 1, please. Election of chairman for the meeting. Can I call for nominations for chair, please?
I propose Councillor Foote.
Thank you. That's Councillor Fitter proposing Councillor Foote, and a seconder?
Yes, I'm happy to second.
Thank you. It's Councillor Hayward seconding. All in favour? If you can please raise your hand. Lovely, all agreed. So moving to item 2 and over to you, Councillor Foote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Do I have any apologies for absence?
None received.
Do we have any declarations of interest for anybody on any items on the agenda today? Okay, I'll take that as there are no declarations of interest. So we are here to consider one application, which is for the renewal of a street traded consent. This is for Mr. Des Peterson, TA Woodall Products from the lay-by on the A3072. Just so you understand the process, Mr. Peterson, and I believe Dr. Whittle is on the phone with us as well. The licensing service will outline the matter for us. Members will then have an opportunity to ask questions of the licensing service. And then the applicant, that's yourself, Mr. Peterson, will have the opportunity to present your application to us. We will then have an opportunity to ask you suitable questions. We'll then go to any objections that we have on the application. So we've had objections from a couple of the parish councils there. So from Launcesvalles Parish Council and from Bude Stratton Council, although Bude are not present at the meeting today. And then what we'll have will be your final submission as the applicant, Mr. Peterson. So what I would encourage both you and Dr. Whittle to do is if you have any questions as things are progressing, that you write them down, and then when it's your turn to speak, you would ask your questions then. So what I'll do now is everybody happy with that? Does anybody have any questions on that? I can see one of our guests has their mic muted. I'm not sure if we can unmute
yeah,
that.
I don't know how that's happened, but apparently he has to press *6 to unmute himself. So, Mr. Peterson, could you try pressing *6, please? Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Hi.
So, Mr. Peterson, do you have any questions at all on that process?
No, that's all fine. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm apologies for not being able to hide your telephone number. Are you happy to proceed with the hearing, even though it's on display?
We'll just have to. I expect I'll have to take it on the chin.
Okay, that's fine. And Mr. Peterson, just one more question. So, were you aware that you could have been represented here today at the sub hearing?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and you happy to proceed without representation?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm assuming I've got Dr. Whittle also with us here. If I do, I can't hear you very well, or at all. All right. Dr. Whittle, can you just confirm that you can hear us? If that is Dr. Whittle, well, I've got a second guest here, and I'm not sure who that might be.
Can you hear me at all?
Is that Dr. Whittle? Or someone from Launcesvalles
Can
Parish?
you hear me by this?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you by the computer and by the telephone.
Okay, that's fine. So is this Dr. Whittle joining us from Launcesvalles Parish Council?
This is Alan Whittle, yes.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Did you hear my explanation of the procedure?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So again, I would just encourage you both to write down any questions that you might have as things are progressing, and when it's your turn to speak, then you'll be able to raise any questions that you have. So I'm going to hand over to the licensing service now, who will outline the application and the matter for us.
Thank you, Chairman. It's Sarah Kent here. I'm going to share my screen with you now to show you the report. Can you see my screen, Chairman?
Yes, I can, Sarah. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Let me just take you through. So thank you, Chairman. An application has been received from Mr Peterson trading as Woodall products from the lay-by on the A3072 lawn stalls for the renewal of a street trading consent. Pages 3 to 7 of the report show details of applications of previous decisions made by the committee for members' information. I'll just take you through. The previous street trading consent and conditions that were issued for 2019 are attached at Appendices 1. That's pages 12 to 15 of the report. Chairman, would you like me to take you to that appendix?
I think that would be helpful, Sarah. Yes, please.
Okay. Sorry, Chairman, bear with me a second.
Right.
So here is the street trading consent that was issued for last year, along with the conditions. So the application is requesting the same consent that they had last year from 2019, with no changes being proposed.
Okay.
So attached at Appendix 2 are a number of photographs of the proposed vehicles to be used in connection with the application or with the street trading consent. So I'll just take you through those. And Appendix 3, Chairman, is some correspondence from the applicant along with a number of photographs that the applicant has provided. So I'll just take you through these. Tell me if I'm going too fast.
No, that's fine, but I have one question on Appendix 3, which is the message from Mr. Peterson. There's no date on it, so I'm just wondering what date that came through.
Apologies, Chairman, I can tell you, but I just need to check my emails. It won't be a second. It was received on the 18th of June.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
So we'll go through the photos. So that's a photograph showing the location of the lay-by. Another photo of the location, along with some photographs of the actual lay-by itself from Mr. Peterson. Apologies, Chairman, we weren't able to turn the photographs around. I appreciate that some of them would have been easier to look at if we could have turned them around. So if I just take you back to the report now, at pages 8, 9 and 10, where we detail the representations that have been received. So consultation was undertaken and a representation has been received from Launcesvalles Parish Council, who are, as you know, in attendance today to address you. We have also received a representation from Bude Stratton Town Council. They unfortunately were unable to attend the hearing today, but their representation reads that given the applicant's unwillingness to comply with the terms of the previous licence, the Town Council strongly object to the renewal of the consent. Highways responded to the application and said that they had no formal objection, but that they would like clarification following previous complaints that they had received regarding the number of vehicles the applicant has on site, so that if they get complaints, they know who to pass them to, or they are able to respond. So we responded to Highways and advised that the applicant is requesting 2 vehicles be used in connection with the street trading consent, one being a showman's coach to be kept on site overnight, and a Bedford lorry to be used and kept on site between the hours of 7 AM and 10 PM only. So the renewal this year is asking for exactly the same consent that was issued to Mr. Peterson last year. A response was received from Environmental Protection advising that they had no objections, and a response was received from Health and Safety, who said that they had looked at the site in previous years and the applicant had given no cause for concern from a health and safety perspective, but that any issues regarding proximity to the highway would be a matter for Highways to be able to respond to. We received no response from the local ward member, the police, street works, licensing compliance, trading standards, food safety or the planning authority. Officers were advised, Chairman, as it details within the report, by the licensing compliance team that a number of complaints have been received in recent weeks that Mr. Peterson had been exposing his articles for sale without the relevant street trading consent, which they were investigating. I have an update for you now. Since the report was written, licensing compliance have confirmed that the matter has been considered and they do not intend taking a prosecution case forward. As members are aware, the council has the power to review a street trading consent at any time if it is considered appropriate, if a street trading consent is in force. So as members know, the European Union Services Directive and its primary aim is to make it easier for service businesses to set up or sell their services anywhere in the European Union. And the report details examples. So it goes on to say that any prohibition on street trading authorisation must be justified by an overriding reason relating to the public interest. And there are examples contained within the report about what those examples would, what the overriding reason would be. So members' options today are to approve the application, defer the application, refuse it, or approve it with any amendments. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Sarah. Do members have any questions for our licensing officer?
Sorry, are you asking me to ask?
No.
Peter,
So Mr. Peterson, it's not you just yet. I'm just asking the members of the committee here if they have any questions. So I don't see any hands going up. So we'll actually now move over to you, Mr. Peterson. So it's your turn to present your application to us.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Desmond Peterson. I'm a chainsaw wood sculptor. Anyway, my application is to keep the vehicles that I've got here, because that's not quite correct what Sarah said. I've always had these vehicles right from the get-go. I've always had these things. I need these things because it's a lifestyle, which I'm going to try and illustrate to you in a minute. So I don't know where this comes from. That was what the previous hearings, because of one complaint or whatever, said that I can only have this vehicle and that vehicle and that's it. I need all these vehicles. It's only a few that I use anyway, but I'm gonna not get too worked up and explain it as best as I can, or describe it to you, so you can see for yourselves and work it and come to some determination. Right, as I said, I'm a chainsaw wood sculptor. I have been for 23 years. I was invited by the Duchy to carve at the Royal Cornwall show. I had centre stage in the arena for at least 10 consecutive years until my marriage breakdown. And then, but anyway, the reason why I come back to work, I've been working these labour hours for 23 years, long before Cornwall licensing was even established. Anyhow, I come back here because of my son. My children are nearby that live with their mother. So I come here for a few months in the summer, not a lot of time, just for a few months. And I choose this specific lay-by because there's no houses nearby. If you look at the photos, you'll see I occupy a tiny little portion at the bottom. It's an enormous lay-by, surrounded by fields, farm fields. I get on very well with all my neighbours. They come past, hooting, waving, giving me thumbs up, and make me feel very welcome. Derek Broad, who owns the garden centres, family garden centres, they're very supportive of me. Derek Broad and Rob Broad, his son. So I know them personally and very friendly with them. Anyhow, the lay-by, if I can describe it to you, and it's important that you know the history, that this lay-by is a notorious dogging lay-by. It has been used. It's calmed down over the years. It's got since I've been here. It's a lot calmer. The police know about it. Everyone knows about it. You can Google it for yourself. In fact, I pick up all the litter down the north end. There's another chap that picks up the litter on the south end, and he's got a camera on the end of his tongs. So the evidence is there. If you want to see the used condoms, the underpants, and all the rest of the despicable items that gets picked up in the hedge, which is still there on occasion. Anyway, I have created down here in the north a safe and attractive environment for other road users to stop, stretch their legs, walk the dogs, have a little look at the things that I have. The showman's wagon, which is a bit of English heritage, but we'll talk about that in a minute as well, I expect. I just need to say, calmer, excuse me. Right, so the...
Mr. Peterson, there's no rush. You
yeah.
can take your time. So if you want to, catch your breath
okay.
and gather your thoughts.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Right, I maintain this area because I consider myself an environmentalist. Okay, number one, I cut the grass. I'm forever picking up the litter. You won't find any litter here, and as I say, it's safe. There's no obstructions. Right? There's no problem here. There's absolutely no problem. I get a load. I get plenty of compliments. People 20 per day at least coming past, waving, and supporting me, thumbs up. And a few years back, I had a petition signed by hundreds, if not thousands, of people are in support of me locally. There might be one or two that are disgruntled, not happy with me, right? But for whatever reasons, it's beyond my control. Anyway, if you could just look at the photos, that the photos that Sarah's got, you'll see from there that everything is tidy. Also, I'd like to show that there's one photo which is not truly represented. Actually, if you look at appendix agenda number 4.1, appendix 2, that photo shows two vehicles double parked. That's not correct. It looks like two photos that's been stuck together to make it look like I'm obstructing the lay-by. Right. Anyway, excuse me. Take a deep breath. Right. The other thing is that I'm always all my waste, anything is always tidy. I welcome anyone to come past and have a look at any stage. You'll find it all organized. And this leads me on to the vehicles, I suppose, that I need, because this is a one-man operation. I don't have a team of people working for me. I do everything by myself. Right? I can't. Everything I do is done by myself. The last of my worldly possessions is what I've got over here. Right? So I can't. Every time I do a Sunday run, nothing is in storage. Everything is being used. Everything, all the time. So basically, I have the Sherman's wagon, which I'm living in for now, and that's the same registration as the Bedford. As I say, it's a bit of English heritage. It's a beautiful 1950s wagon, an attractive one, which there are very few left. So people stop to look at that and the Bedford, which the Bedford is used because it's got a crane on, which I use regularly. It's also got an airline, which I use to blow out the saws that I've got. Then I've got the camper, which is all my water. So basically, all my water, the running hot water, or all my water, toiletry, and all that is in the camper, which gets changed over once a week or actually every few days up at Red Post campsite, and it costs me £5 a week actually. Okay, so we've got the camper, and we've got the Arthur Williams trailer, which has the generator, the lawnmower, the strimmer, the pink gazebo, which gets used only when it's raining, when it's inclement, because I have commissions to do. So if it's if I don't work, I don't get any benefits from the government. I don't claim a penny I haven't been furloughed. So everything I've had to, I haven't been this poor for a long time. I'm on a really tight budget, right? I am so skint, right? And it's my son's birthday coming up this month, right? And I've got to try and get some money towards that, right? One way or another. Anyway, it just aggravates me. But anyway, the other thing is the beetle. The beetle that I use is for running and getting groceries, petrol, and sundries, because I can't take the camper into town all the time. But that just goes up to the right closer to the toiletry things. Sorry if I got a bit worked up. Does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense. Absolutely. Did you want to add anything else? Otherwise, I'll go over to questions from members to yourself.
Well, look, I wrote a concise report to Sarah's. It's in there. So there's key points. Is there's no obstruction. What I'm trying to, the point I need to make quite clear is there is no vehicle obstructions here. There is no problem here, right? Other than I'm using up too much oxygen up top here. People don't like me. There's a few people that don't like me for whatever reason. I can't help that. But I consider myself as an environmentalist, and I'll try and keep this area clean and tidy. And this is what until the day that I drop, I'm going to carry on doing this. So that's it. I'm not going to claim any money off the government because I'm not that way inclined.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you for that, Mr. Peterson. Stay on the line because we're going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
So Councillor Fitter has his hand up first. So go ahead, Councillor Fitter, if you turn your microphone on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Peterson, good afternoon to you, sir. Good afternoon. I've got a few questions to ask you. The first question is, where do you store your vehicles in the winter when you cease to trade?
Right. Well, there's a yard in Launceston where it goes to, but that's 16 miles away from here. And as I say, nothing is in storage. While I'm here, everything is being used all of the time.
Yeah. I thank you, sir, very much indeed for that. So you store them in a yard at Launceston, and
in the winter when I'm not trading, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, sir. And I think you're aware of the main issue. I don't think anybody from the submission objects to you doing this wood carving and art in the lay-by. It's a question of how many vehicles remain over there overnight. So my second question to you, sir, is this: have you tried to source a site somewhere nearby where you can drive the vehicles to when you finish trading at night?
I have considered that, but it's impossible. It's an impossible task because I can't have anyone. As I said to you, everything that I've got in the world now, possessions, is over here, right? I can't leave to. There's people that this is a labor. People watch me, and if I turn my back, if I make it a routine to go and drop off one vehicle, and routinely, they will come and they'll clean me up. Right? Then I've got nothing left. Plus, I need to have these vehicles right here because they all perform a purpose all of the time.
Thank you. I think that, and one last question, sir, if I may. Sure. And this is a question. It may not be applicable, but does Cornwall Highways charge you a sort of a rent for occupying the site during the summer?
The council charged me for the license fee.
Thank you.
And then of course I've also got the other 10 million public liability bill on top of that as well. So
yeah. Okay.
And all my vehicles are taxed. Everything is roadworthy, taxed 100%.
Thank you, sir. Very much indeed.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your for answering my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's me complete, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Fitter. If you'll put your hand down, that'll be fine. Councillor Hayward, do you have any questions at all for the applicant?
No, I don't have any questions at the moment. Thank you, Chairman.
So I just have one or two for you, Mr. Peterson. So how many vehicles altogether are we talking about?
Right. Okay. Well, as I say, the Showman's and the Bedford, it's the same registration number. So I don't know if you want to regard that as one vehicle or two. It's up to you. The Bedford, so the camper and the Arthur Williams trailer, that's also the same registration number. So that's also another vehicle, or you can call them individually. I don't mind. And then there's a Beetle. So call it 5. But
Okay.
But I use them all the time, all of them.
Okay, so I'm wondering if I can just ask legal for a bit of advice on that, because I'm interested that it sounds like two of the vehicles have the same registration, or 2 and 2. So does that count as 1 or 2 vehicles? I'm interested from a legal point of view.
Oh, hello, Chair. It's Mark Andrews from Legal here. Yeah, I wouldn't count the trailer as a vehicle. And possibly the Showman's lorry, although not strictly a vehicle. I think that the issue that we have here, that's been an issue. This is a renewal application. So whether the gentleman likes it or not, this is a renewal application for what he's already got, and what he's already got is permission to have the Showman's vehicle there. So it's whether it's got an engine or not, or whether it's on the back of a trailer, it's regarded as a vehicle.
Okay.
So I would say that.
That's fine. Thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Peterson, one other question. So the objection from Launcesvalles Parish Councils, they're stating they've got concerns about here disposing of your grey water, and you did mention that you go once a week to a local campsite to dispose of that.
That's correct.
So they part of their objection is that they want to be formally assured that you're just using the wagon and you're actually disposing of the sewage appropriately. Yep. I'm not sure how we can formally assure that. But you said
I can tell them exactly where it is. I can give them the person's name and number, and they can go and investigate it themselves.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think I have any other questions for you at present, but Mr. Peterson, you will have a chance at the end to sum up and have a final submission. So what I would ask is that now you would listen, because we're going to go to our objectors here in just a moment. And if they raise anything that you think, oh, that's not quite right, or whatever, I would encourage you to write it down, and then you can ask those questions or address those things in your final submission. Okay?
All right. Okay, thank you.
So just to double check, do I have any further questions from members for Mr. Peterson at this point? Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do now is we're going to go to our objectors, and we should have Dr. Whittle from Launcesvalles Parish Council on the line. Are you with us, Dr. Whittle? I can't hear you at the moment, so I don't know if... Now I can hear you, I think. Is that you, Dr. Whittle? Well, it looks like Dr. Whittle's leaving.
Yeah, it's Angela Saunders in Democratic Services. I guess we ought to wait for a moment to see if he dials back in.
It does look like he's kind of dropped in and out of the meeting multiple times. So if we wait a minute and see if he dials back in.
Yeah, I've just admitted him again. He's coming in now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is that Dr. Whittle there?
Sorry about that. I just dropped as you asked me to speak.
That's
okay. In that case, I'll be very, very brief.
Okay.
My understanding is the license was permitted for the Showman's van. Last year, we had all sorts of trucks turn up. So the 5 vehicles he talks about. And this is clearly what's upsetting our parish. So when yes, oh,
You're breaking up on me, Dr. Whittle.
sorry, am I talking over the phone or over the computer system?
I don't know. If you're using your Wi-Fi, you're probably over the Wi-Fi from your home computer, which can be done. But
it's Angela Saunders, Democratic Services here. It's the telephone. So if the parish councillor is actually listening online, if he could mute his computer, we're talking to him through the telephone.
Right. I'm just talking over the phone then. Right. So our objection is all the other vehicles, and we came out to object after Mr. Peterson asked for extra permission. We were then told that you actually had no power to do anything, full stop. So then,
you're still breaking up on me, and I missed the first part of the statement about enforcement.
Right, I'm outside in my garden. Is that any better?
It is.
Right. Oh, well, there you go. This is Cornwall. We have 4 telephones. Right. Our objection is for all the vehicles. Right. We are more than happy to have the showman's vehicle there and to sell from that. Everybody's happy with that. So our solution would be for him to park all his stuff, say Red Post. I'm sure they could come to a deal. Now, I could pick holes in everything Mr. Peterson said. I'm not going to do that. It's a waste of everybody's time. The solution is very straightforward. Get him to put his stuff in Red Post, and then everybody's happy. Now, the problem with the system is Cornwall Council have actually answered a Freedom of Information Act request that says quite explicitly they will not move people on from a lay-by unless the lay-by has a no parking. So irrespective of what the licensing team say, this committee says, as far as we could see from Cornwall Council's own answers, you've got no power to move him on. So I can't see what your solution is apart from withdrawing the license. And it's an unfortunate thing because we're quite happy to have the showman's van there. We love that. But it's all the other stuff that is a problem. And since there is no apparent enforcement ability, we have to object to the license, to the showman's van. That's the essence of our case.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Whittle. So I'll go to the members now. If you have any questions for Dr. Whittle, please. So, Councillor Hayward, you had your hand up first. So if you go first, just take off your, yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Whittle, are the parish council absolutely certain, because it's a public lay-by and it's a very big one, that all the other vehicles that turned up last year were belonging to Mr. Peterson?
Yes, it's the 5 vehicles that we've seen from the middle of last year. So the showman's van, the Bedford van, the camper van, the trailer, and the VW.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Councillor Hayward?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so if you take your hand down, and I'll go to Councillor Fitter. You did have your hand up.
I did indeed, sir, and I've just dropped it now to save you having to remind me to drop it. Dr. Whittle, good afternoon to you, sir. I wondered if you could just give me a couple of answers or information. In the parish, are you aware of any area of land where this gentleman could carry out his business, which would be satisfactory to the parish and perhaps to yourselves? Because as I understand it, you are objecting also to him selling goods and making goods there. Is that correct, sir?
That's not the parish council's position. That is not the parish council's position. The parish council, which I represent, are happy for him to sell, to make and sell, and to have his showman's van there. Our objection is to all the other vehicles.
Thank you. That's absolutely brilliant. I misunderstood when you said earlier in your presentation that you were quite happy to have the showman's van there, and I thought that precluded him doing anything else. But now you've clarified that, so that's brilliant. Right, so to follow up on that question, given your local knowledge, sir, are you aware of anywhere nearby where the applicant could store the vehicles other than what he's doing at the moment, seemingly, and storing them and using the lay-by to store them?
Yes, the obvious answer would be at the Red Post garage, where he apparently goes to empty his trailer. I'm sure either the Red Post garage or the campsite behind the Red Post Inn, I'm sure one of the owners there would be happy to take his extra vehicles for a suitable fee.
Yes, and my last question is, you are a parish councillor. Do the parish council receive complaints about other activities up at this lay-by? The applicant is introduced some indication that there may be other activities of a less happy nature.
Our parish has had no complaints, but my understanding from Chinese whispers is that this was a less than ideal place, and that's why Cornwall Council completely hacked all the vegetation a year back. So it's much more open than it ever used to be.
Yeah.
So
but does it, it's such a large one. I just wondered if there's a need, in actual fact, for such a large lay-by to be there. Does it have a need?
No, I think it's history that it's there.
Right.
It's history that's there.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Fitter. So, Dr. Whittle, if I may, so part of the objection from Launcesvalles Parish Council was a concern about the disposal of the grey water. And I'm just wondering, after hearing Mr. Peterson's explanation of what he does with it, are you happy? Are you content that he is disposing of it?
I can pass that back to the parishioner who formally objected in that sense.
Okay, that's fine.
I think in the scheme of things, that's a manageable issue.
Okay.
The bigger issue is all the vehicles.
So let me ask you a bit about that as well. So it is a lay-by. It is a very large lay-by. So it's actually intended, for vehicles to stop there. And I have seen your Freedom of Information request. It's included in our pack, so the members will be aware of the response there. So what is the major concern from the parish council with having these vehicles parked at a lay-by, which is intended for vehicles?
It's right at the front end of the lay-by, so it's visible as you drive up the road, out of view, and it just looks like an encampment.
Okay.
That's what's really annoying people. And okay. I get lots of complaints on this one. It's probably the thing that causes me most complaints over the year, more than planning.
Okay. So let me ask you another question then. Have you been, so I understand the complaints about it looking like an encampment. Have you had any complaints regarding health and safety or waste on, any kind of waste on the site or obstruction to the highway? I mean, we haven't, from our official consultees, haven't had any response or objections from them. So I'm just wondering if you've heard anything different.
We occasionally get some grumpiness over the fear that people can't get the big milking trucks through there. So if he's parked up at the south end of the lay-by with trucks on both sides of the lay-by, milking trucks are going to have an interesting time getting through there. In terms of the waste, I went down there and did an inspection myself after he left, and it was reasonably clean. The only waste was odd bits of wood from where he'd been working that had been scattered in the hedge. In the scheme of life, it doesn't help, but we're not going to lose sleep over that.
Okay.
Because the guys, people have a right to make a living. I've got no problem with that. So you expect little bits like this. Mm. The rest of the lay-by is pretty clean up and down it. Because I've had more grief again this year over it, I've had a number of inspections myself where I've walked through it. It is a pretty clean lay-by. We actually have a parish clean twice a year, and it's never one of the worst laybys. So it's not too bad even when Mr. Peterson's not there. So it all comes down to the encampment effect, which could easily be fixed.
So you mentioned milking lorries coming through. In the pack, there's an image of a very large co-op HGV passing by the showman's vehicle. So it doesn't look like it's obstructing anything there. So I'm just interested.
It depends how close. It's all about where the trucks are parked at the particular time, because of course the things move around all the time. The showman's van doesn't, but the Bedford truck and the VW and the trailer all move periodically.
Okay.
And if they're in exactly the wrong place at the wrong time, then there will be a problem.
Okay. That's fine. But just to clarify for my own sake, the majority of the complaints that you're getting from people is down to the fact that it's an encampment there, but not really.
Absolutely.
Other issues.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for that. I don't have any further questions for you, Dr. Whittle. So this is really your last chance. If you want to add anything else.
No, as I say, if it was just the showman's van and selling stuff, we'd be more than happy. It's the encampment, and there is a simple solution if people were imaginative. Okay.
That's fine. Thank you so much for that. Just let me double check and make sure the members are happy. Do I have any further questions from the members at all?
Not for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitter. And okay, so we'll move on now. So really, we have.
Can I have a say?
Yes, I'm going to come back to you in just a sec. Just a second, Mr. Peterson. I'm going to come back to you in just a minute. So we had one other objection, which was from Bude Stratton Council. They're not on the line with us, but as the licensing officer said, it was in relationship to the conditions there and the vehicles there. So yes, we're actually coming back to you now, Mr. Peterson. So this is your final submission. This is you have the last say. So you can say anything that you want to say now. This is your last submission.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. The thing is, I just wanted to. I disagree with what the Dr. Whittle said, and I thought I was allowed to ask him questions, but if that's possible, because I would like to know exactly what it is, because there is no problem here, and I am an environmentalist. If you have a look at those photos, he says that there's a simple solution. Oh well, I'm here by myself. I can't. This is the lifestyle that I live, unfortunately. This is what I have. This is the only way I can do it. It's impossible for me to park these vehicles anywhere else because I need them all the time to trade and work and live. As you say, it's an encampment. I'm so sorry if it's such a horrible site, such an awful camping. You know, I'm really sorry, but you know what? There's a whole lot of houses that come up in Bude, which is blotted out the sea view, right? And there's some SETI caravans. Well, that's a horrible sight, right? Anyway, the point is that everything that I have to have these vehicles here, and I've always had these vehicles because I need them. I need them. It's impossible for me to sort of just drop one off and pick up another one, and as I say, this is the last of my worldly possessions, and I can't just turn my back. I can't make a routine of skipping off. And every time the milk truck comes through, there's no obstructions. I'm very conscientious of all my vehicles and my surrounding. That's why whenever you come here, you have a look. Everything is tidy. Everything is organized. Okay. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up.
That's fine. I mean, absolutely. Take a deep breath. There is provision to ask questions, but they should all come through the chair. Okay. So if you wanted to ask anything specific, and I should have said that also to Dr. Whittle, there is provision that if you wanted to ask any direct questions to the applicant, you could do that, but through the chair, please. I prefer that you don't cross-examine each other or get into anything heated here. But if you don't have anything else to add, or if you're happy with that.
Well, as I say, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that I hear what he says, and he says there's a simple solution. Well, it's not a simple solution because I'm here by myself. I can't just leave. These are the things that I have to trade, to work. right? It's not a matter of just selling stuff, but I've got to actually produce it, which requires a huge amount of tools. So, you know, if I didn't have these vehicles, I'd have stuff scattered all over the place. Well, then it would look like an awful encampment. But I've got everything contained in a nice and orderly fashion, right? And I have restored. The reason why it's so nice and clean is because I'm forever picking up the litter. And even when I'm gone, this other guy, I can give you his name if you want, and have a look at his camera, because he comes in every couple of weeks, and you can see the stuff that he picks up. And now that this labour isn't as active as it was, but the little one further down, that one has become a lot more active actually. So, but it's not as busy as it's not as it was, but it is still being used in that sense on the north. So anyway, it's despicable. But anyway, as I say, I'm here for my children. Unfortunately, this is what I have to do for a living, and I did all entirely by myself. So
okay,
it's not an encampment.
Okay. So do members have any further questions for the applicant from the final submission there?
Not from me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitter.
No, not for me. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. So if there's nothing else to add, what we need to do now is move into the exclusion of press and public, where we will consider the application. We'll consider all the objections that have made. We'll consider everything that we've received in our pack and everything that we've heard today, and then we'll come to a decision, and you'll be advised in due course by the licensing officers. So,
Does that mean that I need to stay online for that, or will you phone me back, or how's that going to work?
So Sarah, do you contact the applicant or Angela? Sorry.
Yeah, it's Angela here from Democratic Services. When we need to vote to move into public session.
Yeah, I was just about.
And the parish council need to end the phone call, and I will call them back if they wish to let them hear the result.
Yeah, so we're going to move into the exclusion of press and public. I have the statement here to read. I'm happy to read that.
Okay.
But then they'll both come off the phone. Yes.
Yeah, and then I'll confirm that the live stream is ended.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. So Mr. Peterson and Dr. Whittle. So we're going to go into the exclusion of press and public. After this is read, you'll have to leave the call, but I'll read this at the moment. So it's proposed under Section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 5 of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act. So I need a proposer, basically. So namely, we've got information in respect of which any claim to professional privilege could be maintained in legal proceedings. There's a few other reasons there. I'm just not sure which reason we're using. So if it's a business privilege, there's about 7 different reasons for the exclusion of press and public, but I haven't been given a specific one for this.
Chairman, it's Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chairman, it's Mark Andrews from legal. Yeah, you used the correct one, which is claim to legal professional privilege, which is the one you referred to. Thank you. That's fine. That was the one that I had in front of me. So, and that proceedings apart from the resolution passed shall remain confidential. So if I propose that, if I could have a seconder, please.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you. And everybody in favor, if you could please raise your hands using the raise your hand function. Okay. Just hold them there for a moment.
It's Angela, the meeting producer. I'm just waiting for confirmation that the Yeah, we're live again, Chairman.
Thank you. So we have all our members of the public back with us and officers back with us, and we have the live stream up and running again. So I'd like to propose that we go back into public session at this point. May I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy. Second. Oh, okay.
Connect us all connect us, I don't know.
So everybody in favor?
Yeah.
So if we could all use our raise hand feature, and that's fine. So we are now back into public session. So thank you for rejoining us, Dr. Whittle and Mr. Peterson, and our licensing officer as well, Sarah Kent. I'm going to pass over to our legal officer, Mark Andrews, who's going to read the decision for you.
Thank you, Chairman. It's Mark Andrews from Legal. The proposal, Chairman, is as follows. The proposal is that the application for renewal of the street trading consent for Mr. Des Peterson, trading as Woodall products for the lay-by on the A3072 at Launcesvalles, be granted. The members of the street trading subcommittee noted that the applicant stated he needed to leave other vehicles in the lay-by, but members were unable to deal with this as the application was for a renewal of an existing street trading consent, which did not allow for these vehicles to remain. Members were advised that if the applicant wished to leave other vehicles in the lay-by, he would have to apply to vary the street trading consent. However, members also noted that when the applicant had previously applied to vary the licence in September 2019 to allow for an extra vehicle, this had been refused. And members noted the reasons for that refusal. Members heard from the applicant and also heard from a representative from Launcesvalles Parish Council. Members noted that the Parish Council did not object to the showman's caravan or to the applicant operating from the site, but had concerns regarding other vehicles. Again, members noted that they were unable to deal with this as part of the application. Members also noted that there had been no objections from highways, the police, environmental protection or health and safety. And members were reassured by the applicant's statement regarding the disposal of grey waste. Taking all matters into consideration, members felt that it was reasonable and proportionate to grant the street trading consent on this occasion. That's the proposal, Chairman.
So that's the proposal. So I see Councillor Fitter, you've got your hand up to propose, and may I have a seconder as well, please? Or Councillor Fitter, was that a question or was that you proposing?
No, I was just proposing, sir.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. And Councillor Hayward, I see your hand up, so I'll take that as you are seconding the proposal, is that correct? And
yes.
Thank you. And then if everybody's in favor, if you could please raise your hands again using the raise hand function. So we're all in favor, so that proposal has been passed. And details of the decision will be received and sent out in writing within the next 5 days. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Right, I have no other items of business on the agenda for today, and I have no other emergency items, I should say. So I will declare the meeting officially closed. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.